Hello and welcome to the latest Royal Roundup from TalkTV. So, pop the kettle on. This is the Royal Tea. I'm Sarah Hewson. The Sussex family feuds continue. Meghan is now being sued by her half-sister, and there could be difficult questions to answer for both her and Harry. We'll be discussing the reason why and much more on today's show. Joining me in the studio are Royal commentator and TalkTV regular Afua Hagan, Royal editor at the Evening Standard Robert Jobson, and TalkTV Royal commentator Rupert Bell. Hello to all of you. Now, on Wednesday, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had an audience with King Charles on his trip to the UK. He described it as a truly special moment. Rob, the King has been a long-time vocal supporter of Kiev's fight against Russia, and you could see the warmth in that relationship as they met.
Yeah, it's been very important to the King. Him and actually, if you remember quite rightly, the Queen, when they were the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall, went to see a lot of the Ukrainian refugees when they've come over here. They've been to the Ukrainian, where the churches are as well. There's been a lot of vocal support for them, and really, it was a really important moment. And in fact, a lot of people focused on, it was interesting, that photograph with Zelensky and the King rather than necessarily Zelensky and the Prime Minister. So I thought that was quite interesting, with the fact that he got out there, right in the centre of the story, which I didn't necessarily think he would, because it was such a political moment. It was very emotional, I thought. And important for Rishi Sunak, actually, given the relationship between Boris Johnson and Zelensky, for Rishi Sunak to have his moment. But Robert's right, it's the photographs on all of the front pages of the papers are.
And I think it's the soft power of the monarchy once again. He's out there, he's not making any, he obviously warmly embracing him, but that's very much the King understanding the role that his mother played. That's what she did, the soft power. And actually the significance of that, Zelensky wants that shot with the King because it means something.
Yeah, and also he's, as we know, not only the soft power is exactly right, it's exactly spot on the way that he would do it, but after all, he is the commander-in-chief of all the forces. So, when Mr. Sunak signs off, whatever he signs off, it has to be rubber-stamped by the King.
Also, it's a very powerful message to send to Russia and to send to Putin, meeting with the King, addressing these members of Parliament. It's all about that messaging at the moment.
Now, it's emerged that the Princess of Wales has appointed a brand new private secretary who's a brand management expert and described as straight-talking and a ball breaker. Alison Caulfield previously worked for Jamie Oliver as head of campaigns, where she masterminded his war against childhood obesity. Rob, what about this appointment? What does it tell us about Kate's intentions?
I think that it's an important moment for Catherine at this time, because she's now trying to establish exactly what being the Princess of Wales is all about. I think and sort of stamping her own identity on it. I mean, we've been told that the golden thread of her career will be this push on under fives and the importance of that whole branding in terms of the way that they develop the Shaping Us programme. That's going to be very important. But I think that also the fact that she's bringing someone who's so good on brands shows you where we are in this world that we live in now. It is all about brands, and so she's got to try to establish what she stands for. I think really, she's really up until now, in a way, played a bit of a shadow role with William. She's there with a heads-up campaign, a supporting role, but I think now shows that she's more confident.
But she's not someone who naturally seeks the limelight, is she? So to have someone come in, like Alison Caulfield, perhaps suggest a bolder approach? I don't think she's going to
seek the limelight. I don't think that's what she's probably looking to do, but more to consolidate what she is about, to sort of to show the world. She'll still have that supporting role when going forward, when she's Queen Consort eventually to King William. So, but I do think this is now really about saying these are all the threads that she sort of does, but let's get them under one banner and make sure that people understand what she's about.
It's also, you can see what's been going on at the moment. It's a PR campaign before Alison comes in, because clearly this is the way the royal family want to be seen, is doing actions rather than the other sides, which we've spent a lot of time talking about. And we're seeing Kate out there wearing the red suit, getting out there, trying to create a great deal of interest. And this is all part of clearly being a strategy to say, right, we're business as usual, we're getting out there, and Kate is going to be a relevant member.
But I think she'll be doing more solo engagements as well, which again shows her confidence in the role. I mean, I think that when she was out and about this week, and even when she's been on the foreign trips on her own, she certainly has come onto her own.
And in terms of generating attention for this campaign, perhaps the most powerful thing was she released a photograph of her as a baby with her father, and that was followed up by lots of celebrities doing the same.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good approach, actually, to get people involved, use social media in that way, get celebrities involved, posting their pictures and talking more about the campaign. But I do think this new PR and branding expert can help us solidify exactly what the campaign is all about, exactly what the substance is, because that's the next phase, isn't it? She's been actually talking about this early years campaign for quite a number of years. And now is the time, as she seems to be coming into her own and stepping things up, to solidify what it's about. It's very notable that Caulfield was involved in Jamie Oliver's school meals campaign and healthy school meals campaign.
So there's a real connection there.
Exactly, which is, you know, in parallel to what Kate's doing now. So hopefully she can help her solidify in a way that works for Kate. We know that she can't be too political. We know that she can't, you know, like I said last week, talk about the cost of living crisis or the cost of childcare. But she can bring people in who can. So it's about solidifying what her campaign's about now and taking that forward and getting some real action in place. And that's going to be so beneficial for Kate herself, but also really beneficial for under fives.
It would be quite good if there was a little bit of controversy, a little bit of change in there as well, because I think, you know, I'm old enough to have covered the Princess Diana when she was high, and, you know, she wasn't afraid of taking on controversy. You know, the AIDS issue, hugely important issue. She was, you know, shaking hands and holding people with HIV when people actually at that time thought it could be caught.
The landmines campaign as well.
Campaign. You have to sometimes step out of the safety zone.
And then this is relatively safe, isn't it, when you're talking
Very
about
safe.
under fives?
Very safe.
Apart from when you get into the issue of funding.
And it would be great, actually.
But she should get into that issue.
Yes, it would be great to hear Catherine talking about the cost of living crisis, perhaps the effects
But the problem
that
she
COVID
faces
had,
every time when they say that
costs.
is they start lifting off what she's wearing, the fact she's got 3 homes. I know, but that's exactly what happens every time. So they've got to work a way where they can address issues, because it's no good saying kids have got to eat this and do this and do that when they haven't got enough money, and so the kids have got to be taken to McDonald's.
Well, interesting timing. The government's come out today with an announcement about these new family hubs, which are kind of the Conservative version of the Sure Start centres. So that all ties in with what.
But the government are strapped for money across all disciplines. But it's passionate, it's got to be seen to be relevant. It cannot just be a talking shop.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Therefore, she might just have to tweak it a little bit and be a bit brave and come out of her shell. Clearly this is, and maybe with Alison's, when she's around, she will enable her to do it.
But you only break that through that by being courageous. Yeah. I mean, I remember I was talking to Diana's old protection officer, Ken Wolfe, and he remembered Diana coming out after meeting the Queen, talking about AIDS and HIV, and she was in tears, and the Queen had said to her, "Oh, can't you just do something nice? You know, that this was a long time. You know, why do we have to be talking about such controversial issues?" But she broke the barrier. She actually smashed through that ceiling.
And we're a long way from just the plaque unveiling and the tree planting.
She changed so much as a result.
Samantha Markle is suing her half-sister Meghan for defamation and injurious falsehoods, including Meghan's claim that she was an only child in that infamous Oprah Winfrey TV interview, as well as in the Finding Freedom book from 2020. Samantha says she was subjected to humiliation, shame and hatred on a worldwide scale as a result of the Duchess's remarks. And meanwhile, the Duchess's team argue that the complaint has no place in this court or any other, because they feel it amounts to asking jurors to define the meaning of a close relationship. Afua, to you first on this. I mean, regardless of the end result of this, it looks like Harry and Meghan will have to be grilled by Samantha Markle's lawyers. Is this a bad look, whatever the outcome?
That's a good question, actually. This is really what Harry and Meghan wanted to avoid, and actually what they tried to stop is them being interviewed on video by Samantha Markle's lawyers in this case. And to be honest, yeah, I think it's a bad look for everybody involved. I think, you know, Harry and Meghan have probably got to the point now, especially when it comes to Samantha Markle, that they just don't want anything to do with it. You know, they said there that they don't think this has any place in court. And also, you know, we heard in their biography, in their Netflix documentary, that the tech company Bot Sentinel found that there was quite a number of hate accounts on Twitter that were created by Samantha Markle. Now, she's denied it. She said that she has been hacked. But Chris Bowsey and Bot Sentinel said that, you know, she was behind a number of these hate accounts. So there's bad blood between them and has been for such a long time. And I think actually at this point, Harry and Meghan just don't want anything to do with it. But it's also very clear that Samantha Markle has decided that she's going ahead with this. She wants her money and she wants her quote unquote name to be cleared.
And this goes way beyond just whether or not Meghan was an only child, because I think there are 38 separate admissions that Samantha Markle wants Meghan to answer, including the Queen was not a racist. King Charles is not a racist.
Really, I mean, they're all as bad
what's that got to do
they're
with
all
her?
as bad as each other, aren't they? I mean, the fact is, I'm no great supporter of Meghan Markle's sister either. I think the whole thing of this is just about publicity. It's about money. It's all rather grubby. I'm not sure. Do they have to? Do Harry and Meghan would have to be under oath? I'm not sure in the civil case, but I suspect that it'll get thrown out eventually. I mean, 80% of them in America, these things, a deal is done. But the whole thing, you know, this whole thing is turning this section of the royal family into a bit of a poppy show, really, isn't it?
It's so popular.
It's only $75,000 she's wanting, isn't that? Which doesn't seem to me to be. It seems to be a lot of.
Yeah, but has she really been that damaged? I mean,
I know. Well,
I think they're all there.
We don't know.
I mean, you know, I think that the reality is, I mean, there's as I say, there's a lot of. It's a lot of toing and froing over, a lot of hot air over nothing. And, you know, I mean, I know that Harry and Meghan have raked over a lot of family issues, but does it have to carry on? I mean, you know, does it have to keep going? I suppose they're guilty of, you know, they're now opened themselves up to be shot at because they've done it themselves, but it's all rather grubby.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it was reported this week that Harry came very close to hosting Saturday Night Live. You're shaking your head, Rupert. You don't fancy him as the host of the late-night chat show?
I love Saturday Night Live, and over the years it's been one of the iconic American comedies. I mean, I've just been to Egypt, and I loved seeing Steve Martin sing King Tut, which was one of the great moments from history. But Harry doing it, when you think he did that cringe fest with James Corden, was his idea of doing something chatty, and him hosting that. There would have been, there would have been endless...
He also did a skit with Stephen Colbert, didn't he, on his show?
And there would be endless skits about frozen whatevers. And, you know, and you just think, oh, God, I'm glad he didn't, because...
I'm glad he thinks he's that qualified to do it, you know, I mean, you know...
I don't know, I think this might have been and still could be.
Well, I mean, that's
as long as he's not writing the jokes.
Yeah.
As long as he's not writing the jokes.
Well, he could have a ghostwriter.
Exactly. Yeah, they do. And, you know, Saturday Night Live had some absolutely iconic people in there, incredible. And I really like it as well. And I think it's a fine line.
Do we know why it didn't happen?
No, we don't.
Lack of talent, maybe?
I think perhaps maybe he felt that he wanted it right around the time of Spirit. It wasn't the right time to perhaps make jokes about the book. So maybe somewhere down the line, it needs to be quite far down the line. But as long as it's got good writing, it could work.
I'm glad he didn't. I just think he's put himself out there. It just would have left him with another place to defend, unless it was very funny and self-deprecating.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure he's not been good.
He wasn't bad at that. He wasn't
some
bad at that, was he?
strong
When he did a couple of the interviews, I thought. I mean, since the furore of the book, I've sat down and reread it again, and you know, apart from the ones, a couple of lines that we know that jump out at you, you know, it's an okay book. And actually, he was quite good on some of the television shows. But does that mean he's now as good as, you know, some of the greats of American comedy? I don't think so.
You mentioned some of the passages of the book that stand out, and that takes me nicely onto our next topic.
Right.
Sasha Walpole, the woman that Prince Harry lost his virginity to. He detailed it in great detail, too much detail perhaps for some, in the book. She has now come forward. She's given interviews to Sunday newspapers, and she's also spoken to Piers Morgan on TalkTV. And the main thing that seems to come out from Sasha Walpole is that she'd kept his secrets for 21 years. Could he not have just warned her that he was going to do this?
Oh, it's a good question, isn't it? You're asking a lot of good questions today, Sarah.
I try.
To be honest, when she heard this book was coming out, she probably could have anticipated that would be in there. Or maybe not.
I don't know.
If you were writing a book, is that
How many books have you read about where they lose their virginity? I have not read many.
And a member of the royal family writing.
In a field behind a pub.
Well, I'd like to be
also-
the publican because he's doing all right now because everyone's going to be looking for the spot.
But also, he didn't name her. He didn't.
Oh, he pretty much did.
No, he didn't.
He identified her.
But he didn't name her. And to be honest, she could have just hushed up. She didn't have to come out and say it was me.
Well, why
put my
shouldn't she
hands
make
up.
a few quid?
Exactly.
Why shouldn't she? Because he has.
She's done it in a nice way.
But that's why she did it, because she
Well,
wanted to
so
make
what?
some money.
And also,
But I
she
also
controls the narrative
But
of
I
what
also think
happened.
she can't now complain about her privacy.
She's not complaining.
Because she is a little bit. She
She's not-
is.
look.
Because she's saying that, you know, it's an invasion of her privacy because he named it, but he didn't
I mean,
name
that
her.
privacy
did
argument, you
name
can
her.
go both ways, can't you? Because
Exactly.
this is
He
someone,
did name her,
Harry
but
and
the
Meghan,
other,
who's
also
been
he called her an older woman. She was only 19,
very
18.
conscious about their own privacy and made multiple complaints about their own privacy. And yet there are many people in this book who have found their stories laid bare.
That's true.
If you excuse the pun in this instance.
Very good way of putting it.
But I just feel sorry for her that she did try and keep it secret. Where the forces
She's
were.
an ordinary woman,
Yeah.
2 kids,
I think she came over
drives a
quite well,
digger.
didn't she?
And she's been very respectful of Harry, saying, and she's not saying it didn't happen. She's the way it's been reported in the book. It's more or less as did happen. It wasn't.
Yep,
It
she
doesn't
said
sound.
But at least it wasn't
she was a
some
groom at
supermodel.
Highgrove.
Yeah.
They were good friends.
Yeah.
They had a drunken frolic in a field. Moved on.
What's
Until now.
wrong with that? You know,
There's nothing wrong
I
with
don't think. I think she came across very well, and I thought she was pretty straightforward in what she was saying. But the thing is, up until then, there's all these other older women who were being accused.
As an older woman myself.
Oh no, but hardly. But they were.
She's a relative, Sarah.
She was the same. I mean, that was.
She wasn't that much older than him.
No, but he called her in the book an older
Yeah,
woman.
so I
mean.
was envisaging, 50.
Really?
Yeah, older woman.
You were thinking proper
I was thinking
cougar.
more 30.
I'm more 30.
I was thinking, 55 max.
Yeah, but the point is, everyone was.
What, 55 now, you mean, or then?
Yeah, then.
Oh,
Good
really?
God.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay.
That's
Yeah, because that's what older women
no, well, I
give
think
to me.
if you're 16 and a woman who's 28 is an older woman, then.
That's true.
That's but not 19.
Yeah,
and I
they're
think
not
that therefore that's why it's
contemporaries,
fair
weren't
enough that she spoke. I mean, I think that she came across very well. One of the lines that she used with Piers, which I thought was quite good, is that would you have he's probably I wouldn't recognise Harry as he is now, and he seems to be under a spell, which I thought was quite clever.
She also detailed she had to go and see her dad, didn't she? And
that'd be good,
have a
wouldn't
really embarrassing conversation with her dad
Can you
and
imagine? That is the worst.
say, you know what, it was me. It was me.
Well done.
Well,
Hopefully her dad hasn't read the full.
if she's made a
Details
few
in the
quid and going to have a nice holiday as a result of it, and then get back to living in Wiltshire and getting on with her life again, untroubled, then that'll
Well,
be
she'll
fine.
probably get a greenhouse or something rather than a holiday. won't she?
Well, a new digger or whatever she does.
On that note, that is all we've got time for this week. My thanks to Afua, Robert and Rupert. We will be back next week with lots more on the royal family. We hope you can join us again. We'll see you then.